Hello again. Um, well, the reason why part of the reason why I'm posting so much is, well, I'm getting lots of practice in. But I got a really deep wound in my foot. And so my podiatrist said I can't drive buses for now. And the wound is deep enough between two toes that it's going to take about a year to heal. And she said, well, unless they can figure out a way to fix a certain thing, you can't work. And I'm like, well, dagnabbit. So anyway, you're stuck with me, period. And that's part of the reason why I'm posting so much, because I'm intensely bored. I'm just at home doing nothing, and I'm taking care of other business, but you can only take care of certain things in steps. So it might end up that I'm not going to be driving buses anymore. I hope not, because I love my job. It's the best job I've had ever, and I've had lots of jobs. I don't know if that's good, but and I love the company I work for. I never had a better company that I'm working for, and I have no complaints about them. So anyway, I'm kind of stuck at home, and I'm going to have to start warming up my pipes again and everything like that, and that's kind of where that's at. But anyway, I had a story I was going to tell you about my grandparents on one side of my family. What kind of stock do I come from? And my grandpa and grandma Maine were unique people, cool people, and I never really got to know them well because families are complicated. So I remember seeing them a lot when I was little, but I moved away from Utah and didn't see them for a long, long time. So I came back to Utah to visit around 1993, 94, and my grandpa, this is my grandpa on my dad's side, and I still have living people, so I don't want to mention last names and stuff like that because they don't know what I'm doing. So anyway, my grandpa, I saw inside the house, and it was almost empty. And when I knocked on the door, he was like, "Who the heck are you?" And I'm like, "So and so. I'm so and so's son, and Sheila, and this, that, and the other." And he's like, "Oh, okay." So I got to sit down and talk with him for a while, and it was pretty cool. The thing is, my grandpa was never taught how to read and write. And he worked at Kennecott Copper for like 30 years. So it's not like he was dumb. It was, from what I understand, he was a ward of the state. So he grew up in, I call it the state house. So he never learned to read or write. The system never taught him how to read or write. And then he met my grandmother, from what I understand, at the state house. Well, they got married. And my great grandmother, my grandmother, I met another person who is my grandmother, who I never met before, because families get complicated, and there's some people you've never met before. So anyway, this story comes through a lady whose name is Donna, and I only met her once, and I only got to chat with her for a couple of hours because my grandpa wanted me to meet her, and their kids on that family are highly successful in the entertainment industry and everything like that, and I never wanted try to contact them and say, hey, can you help me out, kind of thing. I don't know if it's personal pride or I just want to do it myself. So anyway, this is the stock that I'm brought up from. Now, growing up in Salt Lake City, you have that, you know, the Mormons. Well, these guys, I don't know what religion they were. They might have been Mormon, but they were bar people. Kennecott copper, roughneck type people, hard people. So anyway, my grandpa and grandma's pastimes was grandpa and grandma would go to the bar. This is the story that was told to me. So, Dad, if you're watching this, you'll have to verify that this is true. Because I got this from Donna. So, anyway, they would go to the bar, and Grandpa would go out and sit at one of the tables, and my grandma would sit at the desk or at the bar counter in this kind of a bait trap. Now, my grandma had really, really big boobs, and the one thing I remember from when I was a little kid is when you went to hug her, you had to squeeze in between because her boobs were that big. And it was kind of funny, haha. And during World War II, apparently, she was one of the poster girls to motivate the workers to work harder because that's what they were working for. So that was my grandma. So anyway, what they would do, and this is that they do this for entertainment, I guess. And this is just on my dad's side of the family. I got other parts of my family that I can see why when my mom moved me up on the east side. So anyway, my grandpa would sit in the bar, and my grandma would sit up at the bar bench. So he'd be at this table, and they would wait for some guy to come up and start trying to hook up with my grandma. And my grandpa would sit there and let it play out a little bit. Then he'd come up and pick a fight with him just for the fun of it. So, and my grandpa would, meeting him, he was so low-key and mellow, and, seemed like you could flick him on the nose and he wouldn't respond. But I thought that was the funniest story. Just setting up people on purpose so that he could fight. So, Dad, if you're watching this, you got to verify that this is true with me through Facebook or whatever. But that's the people. Those are my people. Culturally, I'm Mormon, but I would never disown my family. Anyway, that's a funny story. I got my two half brothers. I hope they watch this because I don't know if they know this story about Grandpa at all, but I'm sure because they got to know him better than I did, and I'm sure their experiences would verify what he was, the way he was. And he worked at Kennecott Copper for 30 years. He was awarded for some technical innovations and everything like that. And the hardest thing in the modern days is that to come across somebody that can't read and write. And I've met a couple of other people like that. In Utah, it's amazing to me because there's this thing, kind of culture, where if a person isn't going to show promise to fit into society, they're fixed so that they won't reproduce. So anyway, that's kind of tragic because I think my grandpa and grandma would have had really cool bio kids. But then again, they wouldn't have raised my dad, and then I would have never met them. So things work out that pretty well. Anyway, Aaron and Derek, if you're watching this, you need to verify. So, and Aaron, at one time, I'm not that way anymore. I literally had 14 1/4 inch forearms from all that manual labor that I did when I was a kid. So whenever I see what your Facebook avatar is, it's relevant to me too. So anyway, tally ho. That's my story for tonight. I'm bored. I don't have anything to do, and I don't own a television, and I won't watch television. That's one part of my family. I got all kinds of interesting stories. Well, I don't know if they're interesting, but they're good stories. Even my family certainly could make some sitcoms. But anyway, thanks for watching. Comment. That's it. I'm just incredibly bored because I can't work. They won't let me work. I'm in a conundrum. My podiatrist says, well, you can't drive. And I said, well, I play the bagpipes. And she's like, oh, that's cool. You don't have to stand, do you? And I'm like, yeah. She says, well, you can't play the pipes. No. I'll figure that one out. Because if I have to start busking or something like that, I'm going to go insane in this house. And I'm not going to spend any money till I know what my situation is. Because, I've lost everything 2 times, 3 times before. Life happens. Yeah. Anyway, thanks for watching. And there you go. Bye.